Hey, what's up everybody? Welcome to another video. This time we're going to talk about the SH Figuarts Kamen Rider X8 Hyper Muteki, the Invincible Gamer. So let's get started. I know I am late to reviewing this. It's been a crazy July, now going into August. So yeah, I'm trying to visit some stuff that I've been meaning to do, so hopefully this will tickle your fancy. Yeah, anyway, X8, great show, absolutely adore it. We already know I love Kamen Rider, but X8 was definitely in one of it was there for me. It was definitely one of the top 10 for me. And Hyper Muteki is next level broken, and I love everything about it. You have this golden invincible gamer, and what's really cool is that the L'Oreal hair. If you ever watched his first Henshin, the L'Oreal commercial from this, it's a whole meme. But yeah, I adore how this guy came out. It was long awaited, and it took a while. But unfortunately, there are things about it that I don't like, that hopefully SHF Upgrade will be working on, because I spoke to them very briefly and they said they were highly considering it. So when I talk about it, you'll know if they ever announce it. But overall, the look and presentation of this guy is absolutely fantastic. So without further ado, let's jump into it. Our look on this guy, as I said before, is dope. The gold is not it's not a mustard gold, but it's also not a dirty bronze like gold. It kind of has that really nice blend that's somewhere in between, that really it sits in a very good spot for me. Then we have our long locks for our Invincible Gamer that kind of protrude out, and they are soft, but not soft enough, so that way they aren't articulated, which I thought should have been the case here. This should have easily been one of those things where these are articulated, but we didn't get that here, which is a total bummer because it completely hinders the head articulation for this figure, and that sucks. So when we talk about that, as we talk about the articulation now, we can see that our head sculpt can't really go anywhere because it's locked in by the Invincible Gamer's mask, the forefront of the mask, and the two, well, I don't want to call them tendrils, but the two locks that actually drift down. So you can only really shift ever so briefly left and right. Hopefully with an SHF ball joint, they give me a little bit of more range. I actually just had those come in, so I haven't had a chance to put it on him. So as you can see here, we're not getting too much range, and that is a big bummer because I really like articulation, and without that he's very limited. Now as far as our arm articulation goes, our shoulder pads are connected to the arms. They can do this droop down, as you can see here. You can lift the arm all the way up. The shoulder pad will not get in the way, nor will it get in the way of the head, because you can rotate it just enough by. We have a bicep swivel which rotates all the way around. You want to lift the shoulder pad ever so briefly to get over this armband, and you'll see that our arm is double jointed and rotates all the way up and through. We can actually flip the arm all the way around as well too. As far as our waist articulation goes, you get your standard SHF articulation. Again, it's going to be hindered a little bit by the tentacles in the way, but those should move out just enough so that way you can get a front dip that goes very nicely, and you can move backwards as well too, despite the locks getting in the way. Just lift the legs up, and we can still tilt side to side. So while you still have all your normal SHF articulation, from the neck up, you're going to have some issues. As far as our leg goes, standard forward, standard outward, you have a thigh swivel, and you are double jointed. You have on the foot rotation, we have a forward movement, we have a backwards movement, we have a toe pivot, and we can tilt in. So you definitely get all the normal range. Our belt even swivels from side to side, giving you room in case you want to just rotate it over and make it look a little better, right? So with all these things accounted for, him not being able to necessarily look up the way you want him to is definitely going to be a bummer. But if you like final forms for your riders, you are definitely going to still want this, and that's going to be the biggest issue. So as you can see here, even though I can pose him up, it's going to be in some shape or form look kind of funny that he can't look up completely. Looking from a downward angle, it looks cool, but if I was looking from the upward to downward, it might be a little unsettling. So without further ado, guys, we're going to jump into the accessories. So let's do that. Now as we jump into accessories, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to talk about the hands that Hyper Muteki comes with. You're going to get our open action hands, which I think these are okay, and you get the new Muteki shin guards, so that way there's no regular hand swapping for you this time. You have open action hands, Oh, sorry, I did the open. These are the more relaxed passive hands. I'm sorry, I meant to say that. Next up, we're going to have our weapon holding hands. And these are going to be able to hold the Gashikan Breaker and the Gashikan Key Slasher, which you do get with Hyper Muteki. So, if you didn't get a Gashikan Key Slasher from any other figure, that whether that was Mighty Brothers or a Maximum Gamer, you can now get a Gashikan Key Slasher with Hyper Muteki. You can use all your previous Gashats and put them in the Gashikan key slot. Unfortunately, this is not removable. This is welded onto the belt because obviously it's all one big chunk, showing you a brand new mold for the belt, and I'll get into that in a second. Now, this is where it gets tricky because you get interchangeable parts for Hyper Muteki. Do I want to do this on camera? No. Am I going to do it on camera for you guys? Yes. So if I mess up or I fidget or anything like that, bear with me because it's a nervous wreck to actually do it on camera because you want to be able to do it right. So I'm going to just pop the head off, leave your body there. What I usually do is I remove the faceplate. So I gently remove the cover of the faceplate. And as you can see, you'll have this face here. And you can gently just tab these out on the sides. So that's what we're going to do. It's going to be 4 parts here. And then we're going to tab these guys in to make it work. For this one, we're going to find the proper tags along the side. Tabs, not tags, sorry. We're going to find the proper tabs. And this is why I think SHF Upgrade will do a very good job of pretty much showing off some new way of doing this or how it could have been gone about a different way. Because on my left-hand side, I don't think mine's tabs in properly. So it protrudes out just a little bit, which is kind of a bummer. And I hope that's not the case. And you got to just keep finding the right tabs to tab in, as they basically all will pretty much align. And I got to make sure I line it up correctly. See, my left hand one is not tabbing in properly. And that really bothers me because I want this to work out well. And I think it's just mine. But unfortunately, I don't know anybody else with it just yet to just correct it. You know, let me know if I'm wrong or if it's an overall issue. But also, I could just need to heat it up. That could be another thing. It all could be because I'm nervous on camera doing this. But I'm going to keep it 100% honest with you. I don't know if that's the answer to any of them. So then you just put the faceplate back on afterwards. And mine's going to be loose-wise. But I got to honestly say, this is why I like that it came with it, because this honestly looks really fantastic. Once I pop the head back on. Oh, crap. Did I just lose a... Oh, wow, I did. And I just broke my mass plate from my Hyper Muteki. I am bummed. I really am. So that was me. I'm going to have to glue that on. But let me take some time to actually sit down and cover that out, because I broke my faceplate on mine. So that's something that we should probably learn from. I broke my faceplate, which is weird because I've never done that before, and now I did it on camera. So give me 1 sec as I sit down and I glue this back on. So to keep it 100% transparent with you guys, a big issue that I'm having that I figured out is that I remember earlier when I actually messed up my faceplate, which I was able to actually glue back. Will it ever look the same? No. Is it passable in photos? Yes. So that's what really matters. My biggest issue is that my tab on my left-hand side for the action gamer, the action pose for the locks, right? So it turns out the left tab on mine is actually damaged. Didn't know it until it was too late, and that's actually what helped break my faceplate when this came out of place. If you look at the left-hand one from the normal one, and then you look at this one, the tabs are supposed to be different colors, and that's fine. But as you can see, this aligns properly, and this looks like somebody chewed on the top one. So my tab is actually out of alignment, and that is a big issue, which is why it won't line up properly, for my action gamer action pose, which is a big hindrance for me. And it kind of sucks because I really want it to work. So I may have to try something out where I can cut it or figure out what to do, because as you can see, it does not sit flush on this left-hand side. So that's going to be a big problem for mine. So in the meantime, what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to take this off, and hopefully this is passable. So we'll see what happens. I'm going to see if this is passable by not using the locks on the front and on the front sides and save it for later. So I want to be able to tell you guys the truth is, it sucks that mine has a QC issue. I don't know if it's everyone else's. So please, when you get your Hyper Muteki, please check it out. But I actually don't mind it not having the side ones. If I could find a way to complement it very well to where it looks like they're hidden from a side angle or something, it'll be fine. So I'm gonna leave it like this. But it's actually pretty dope that it still looks good. So it turns out I did need to heat mine up at the top. You can see here. They do plug all the way in, but I wanted to make sure I showed you guys what was going on. So without further ado, now I will jump into the size comparisons. I wanted to keep it 100 with y'all. It sucks that I have a QC issue, which actually caused a damaged part on my toy. But you know what? You can't all be winners. And this is one of the very few QC issues I've ever had on a Kamen Rider. So it's actually pretty weird for me. It's actually a first, if I believe. First in like the last 4 or 5 years for me. But it really does suck, and I'm kind of bummed about it, but it is what it is. So now, guys, let's jump into the size comparison. So first things first, size-wise, Hyper Muteki. Let's square them off with a bunch of other X8 SHF, compare it. So first off, let's compare him to his old level 2 counterpart, or in this case, level 99, because we have the Max Mighty Gachette. Then we're going to do Para DX. That L'Oreal hair is definitely going to get in the way. And then let's do Chronicle Gamer, Kamen Rider Chronos. So size-wise, these guys all look pretty good, but I don't know if you guys can notice it, but Hyper Muteki is a bit smaller. Oop, and he knocked those guys down. Hyper Muteki is a bit smaller, because even when you put X8 right next to him, I don't know if it's the hair or the horn or whatever it is, but regular X8 is a tad bit taller. I'm literally dropping everything today. I don't know what that's about. But yeah, this is one of those things where it actually turns out that he's really short. All in all, it's a passable thing, even with the other ones, because you're probably going to see him either standing by himself or fighting off something bigger than him, which is a thing. And overall, it still looks pretty good with most characters at his level range. So with Para DX, he looks pretty good. With Chronos, he looks pretty good. If you want to test him out against something like Brave, level 100, I think it works out pretty well. With his horn, they tend to be about the same size. And then let's say you want to throw in this for a fusion shot when he actually is transforming, it works out pretty well. Last but not least, I do want to throw Poppy in there, in case you want to see how he compares to Poppy when you do a group shot. I think, oh, let's actually get it right there next to it. She is smaller. Now we're going to jump in. Oh, what is wrong with me today? I'm just having a day. So now, without further ado, what we're going to do is jump into size comparisons with some other stuff. So let's get that started. Let's go with some other Kamen Rider stuff. So here is Kamen Rider Vulcan. And then we'll do Kamen Rider Kuga. As you can see, overall, looks pretty good still. Yeah, works out to me. Move these guys over. Let's do an Articulated Icons Ninja. Ninjas are still a tad bit taller. Let's do a 1000 Toys Synthetic Human. A little bit taller. And then we're going to do a Lightning Collection, Dino Charge Black, who seems to be a tad bit taller as well too. Now for the next batch of stuff. This stuff is obviously going to be bigger, but you just want to see how it scales with it. We'll go with a 6-inch Marvel Legends Spider-Man. Then we're going to choose a Mythic Legions. Let's actually fix that leg there before I drop anything else today. Last but not least, we're going to do a Mezco Me. Show you guys the last bit of scaling here. I'm going to put me behind. I'm clearly taller than the Kamen Rider there. Overall, still like Muteki. I am really bummed about my QC issue. So if you guys are going to get Hyper Muteki, the first things I suggest you do is actually check the tabs on yours. Make sure yours are okay. You don't want to have those issues. Also, if you are going to use this guy for action shots or things like that, please be careful of your horns in this case. I highly recommend you get an SHF upgrade neck peg to increase that range of articulation so nothing gets in the way. Because between the collar and this piece here, you want to be able to have the range. Overall, I do recommend if you got them on pre-order at a good price. Aftermarket wise, considering my QC issue, you may want to be careful with that. It may be a little problematic for you and you may not want to pay it. So just a heads up for that. Overall, guys, I hope you found this informative. I hope you've enjoyed. And as always, please be good, do good, drink your water. Later.